everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are very excited to welcome you all to the Produce Industry Leadership Program Celebrating the Journey session. Now, before we kick things off, I have a few session logistics to remind you of that I think you all know pretty well by now. So as you can see, we're in Zoom meeting, so you have the ability to turn your cameras on, to turn them off, to mute yourselves, to unmute yourselves. For now, let's keep our cameras on, but keep yourselves on mute so we don't get any background noise. We do welcome that if you have any questions, so feel free to type them into the chat pod. This session is unique today, so if you have any questions specifically for Class 25 on their journey, they are all going to be joining us and are here to help answer any of those questions you may have. So make sure you type them in. Let's get them on the spot to answer questions on how their year plus has been. And lastly, as you can see, the session is being recorded, and we will send out the recording to those that registered for the session afterwards. Now it is my pleasure to hand things over to our Produce Industry Leadership Program Alumni Chair and proud member of Class 18, Kristin Reed, Executive Vice President of the Midsect Group.
Thank you, Amanda. I am so excited to see all of these faces here today. So many people that I haven't seen in a really long time, and I can't wait to be in person with you all, hopefully at the Washington conference, for those of you that are going to make it. I'm really excited for us to celebrate the United Leadership Program today, to hear from a few members of Class 25 on the impact of the program on their lives. And, I think for me personally, the impact of the program was profound, right? You hear from people that it's life-changing, and that was true for me both professionally and personally. But I think the thing that impresses me the most about the United Leadership Program is how many alumni I have served on boards and committees with. They are the CEOs and vice presidents that are the hiring authorities when I'm doing recruiting work in this industry. And so I can see the ripple effects that the United Produce Leadership Program has had on our industry at every level, both in volunteerism and also in driving companies. And none of that would be possible without the unending support of Corteva, which we are so grateful for. And we're particularly grateful for Mr. Joe Kelsey, who's been a fantastic advocate for this program, and I know a fun person for the groups to travel with. Joe, would you mind sharing a few remarks?
Sure. Well, welcome everybody to the call, and really appreciate the chance to just say a few remarks on behalf of Corteva. 25 years ago, DuPont saw the need to invest in developing leadership and helping with launch this program. And year after year of successful leadership training and subsequent integration into this industry, an industry that we continue to be a part of and committed to, we've seen the fruits of that investment. And I hope that each of you have also experienced that personally, either with a colleague or as a class member yourself. Well, a couple of years ago, DuPont and Dow AgroSciences had a merger and a subsequent spin. And the outcome was Corteva AgroScience. All the ag parts and pieces of those two incredible companies came out as a new launch, a startup with a couple of hundred years of history called Corteva AgroScience. And Corteva thought it in our best interest to continue that long-term commitment that DuPont had started so many years ago. And it was a great opportunity for me to be introduced to the program, introduced to this wonderful group of people and alumni, and to be welcomed open-armed into this industry. As a corn and soybean Midwestern farmer, I have been accepted by leaps and bounds, and I certainly appreciate the friendships and the relationships and the continued commitment that Corteva delivers to the program. We all knew that Class 25 was going to be special. 25 years is a milestone. It's something that we had planned to really blow out with fanfare and confetti parades, and I don't know what all. I think we were going to have fireworks and the whole bit. And it is a special class. because it is the longest running class, I think, ever in the history of the 25 years. But what a special group of people and a special group of friends to me personally. And I think on behalf of Corteva, we can say what a commitment we have to the specialty crop and fruit and vegetable industry. And this connection, this relationship, this opportunity to help invest in the future of your industry is something that's paramount to us. And we're just happy to do it. So appreciate you open an arm and welcoming a part of it as a member of your group, and certainly appreciate the chance to work with each and every one of you and look forward to the future.
Thanks, Joe. We're certainly appreciative for Corteva, but you have fit in seamlessly. It's like you were a specialty crop person from the very beginning. And you stole the words right out of my mouth in terms of class 25. You know, in January of 2019, applications were out, they were coming in. We were so excited about hitting this milestone as a leadership program. Then we select the class, it gets announced, they have their first meeting, and we are making plans for how to really have this huge blowout celebration at their graduation in 2020. And then they're still haven't graduated. They will graduate on Wednesday at the Washington conference. So finally, after 2 long years, we will get to celebrate this momentous class. And in some ways, the fact that you're the longest running class really is kind of apropos. What a great way to showcase class 25, but to give you 2 years of the program. And I think even an extra meeting with Julie in there that the other classes didn't get. So I'm really excited to celebrate you all today. Amanda, why don't we remind everybody who was in class 25, since it's been a long time since we've been in person.
That's a great idea. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and walk through a slide that'll show you who we have from class 25. Hold your applause till the end, but we have Fernando Aguiar, we have Ahnert, and actually you guys will see a lot of these folks are here on the line. And Allie, I apologize, you just got married, so that is your former name, but the name that you had for most of your time within the program. We have Pete Barone, Frank Camara, Annie Fowler, Craig Fields, and then Bobby Grinstead, Martha Hilton, Marc Newman, Stephanie Pharris, Jennifer Pulsifer, and Oliver Sill. So first of all, big round of applause for these folks that have been in this program for 2 years. And on top of that, didn't give up on us. So they have been a part of this program. As Kristin said, they have had extra Julie sessions. They've had extra virtual webinars. They've had extra everything along the way. So with that, we are lucky and fortunate enough today to have 3 folks from class 25 that are going to give us some of their feedback and thoughts on their participation within the program. So without further ado, I would like to turn things over first to Craig Fields to talk a little bit about his leadership journey, both personal and professional.
Hello, everybody. Thanks, Amanda. And I'm kind of off kilter now because everyone has already stole my thunder of what I wanted to start out with about being the longest class ever. And I don't know if it's because we were slower or we just needed that much more attention, but it's been great. The last 2 years has been awesome. I hope no one breaks our record of 2 years. I hope we don't have to run into that situation ever again. But it has allowed us as a class, as a group, to form even stronger bonds with each other because of what we've had to go through and just some of the conversations that we've had in going through the last 2 years. So I was going back and writing notes down a little earlier today, and it was kind of funny. I was looking at, I've got emails going back to Amanda back to 2017, and I realized I'm probably the biggest pain she's ever had in this class, just because of the questions and trying to be involved in different things. But I came upon the first email of class 25, which was in 2019, and it was our binder for our first trip. And with the anticipation and not nervousness, but some of the things that we felt going into that, not knowing who we were going to meet and the roommate aspect of it and how we were going to play that game. And I couldn't have asked for a better class to be part of. the 11 other individuals that I've grown friends with and use them for advice in certain times. I mean, there's calls that we make. We've got a mix in our class. If everyone's read everyone's their job titles, we've got QA, we've got sourcing, we've got sales, we've got buyers, we've got transportation. So the mix has been instrumental in what we've done as a class. So we can bounce things off of one another. And then on top of that, we've got people from other classes that we've been fortunate enough to meet that we're able to use those relationships as well. And then along with Joe at Corteva, who's just great. And like Kristin said, he's fit into this class like there's nothing else. The way we're able to bounce ideas off of him and learn from him and his team and the two different places we've gone with them has been instrumental. So when I talk about in California, our first trip together, we started down in LA, ended up by Salinas. And I looked at the list and I should have counted, but there were more places that we visited. And only thanks to our bus driver, Juan, who I think missed his calling. He should have been a NASCAR or Formula One driver, but he got us to more places in a week than I think anyone could have done. And with Amanda driving us, making sure we were within 30 seconds of being on task was unbelievable. And I went into it a little bit thinking we're going to all these sheds and how much different can it be than what I've seen before? And wow, was I wrong. Every single place we went to, I learned something and I took something away. It was unbelievable, the open arms that all these different companies and farms had and ranches had for us throughout the entire journey, going all the way to Florida as well on our third trip. But always seeing something different and being able to talk to, whether it was a shed manager or a VP of sales or their transportation people, every place we stopped was instrumental, and I've taken away something from every one of those places. So for any of those people on, thank you very much. It was amazing. And then to start our first week, and I should have actually started with Julie Kravanek, who, if you know anyone that's been in the class before, you hear all these things like, all right, you better be on spot and all these other things. So you have nerves going into your first day of the leadership program. But we had dinner the first night in LA. There was a huge party going on outside. Everyone was wearing white. We got into dinner with Julie, and she was nothing but open arms and engaging with all of us. So the next morning started off extremely well. We were able to ask questions. We learned a lot of different leadership traits, leadership things that we should be focusing on, and things that we could take away for the next year, which turned into 2 years to use as we go back to our companies and work with customers and our own teams and whatnot. The thing with Julie also that we were kind of fortunate and unfortunate is we didn't get our closing with Julie, but she took 2 more times with us. So we had an hour with Julie mid-pandemic, so we could talk about some of the challenges we were facing as a company and as our teams and things of that nature. And then we were able to circle back with her towards the end. I don't know how many months it's been, but it was another great time. So we got to spend 3 times with Julie Kravanek, which has been unbelievable. The insight and the direction she's been able to give me personally, and I think everyone in the class and previous classes is very appreciative of that as well. Just some of the other things that we've done in this class and personal things. I always thought I was able to talk in front of a camera or talk in front of people no matter what. Well, I don't want to steal Frank's thunder, and he may mention it, but Frank and I, probably the 2 oldest guys in the class, we went into interview training thinking we've got this. This is going to be okay. Well, I'll tell you what, you turn a camera on with a red light in front of me, I learned a ton. I learned you have to be prepared. You have to, and then I got Bobby making comments. I shouldn't have had that chat window open. See, this is the friendship that we've created. I don't need enemies when I have friends like these guys. But so we've done so many things together as a group that it's just been an invaluable experience. Through the pandemic, we've had some coffee hours, whether people were drinking coffee or other things, where we've been able to get together and reconnect since we haven't been able to be in person. So everything with this class has been phenomenal. It has helped me in my career path over the last 2 years, which thankfully we had 2 years so I could move a little further and faster than the 1 year I probably wouldn't have done anything. But it's been great. I can't thank Amanda, United Fresh, the classes before me, Joe at Corteva, and most importantly, the people that welcomed us in and my classmates, because it's been phenomenal as far as what I've learned. I've got stories I could talk about DC and the trips we've done, but I'll leave those for other days where we're all together again, hopefully in Washington. But I'm always open for questions. My contact information, I believe, is within United Fresh. So if anyone ever has questions about the program, I can't say enough about it. It's been phenomenal for me. I apologize for using that word more than once. I didn't use an exclamation point because I've learned not to do that as well. So hopefully Julie's not on and I won't get yelled at for that. But again, thank you everyone. And if anyone does have questions for me, I'm always available.
Thank you, Craig. Great remarks. And on that, I think we'll just, we'll go right on into Stephanie and her remarks. But a reminder, if you have any questions for the class, type them into the chat pod and we'll get to them. So Stephanie, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Amanda. Like Craig started to kind of reflect, since this has been 2 years ongoing in class 25 now, and really trying to look back at what we've done and what the impact has been to my career. And I really do agree that the relationships you have from the program are incredible. The valuable perspectives and bouncing ideas off one another, like Craig mentioned, just getting to understand different challenges in the industry through that peer interaction during our trips has been amazing. The selection committee does a fantastic job of bringing together a diverse group. Not only geographically, we had people in our class all over the United States and Canada, but representing the various sectors within the industry in a variety of roles as well. That really just gives you this large pool of talent and perspectives to tap into. And as you build these friendships throughout the program, that's really been a valuable source for me within my career, especially as the pandemic hit. I know Craig mentioned that we did have a few coffee chats, things like that on Zoom calls together to kind of reconnect, but several of us checked in with each other, whether it was calls, texts, emails. We were able to help each other find new outlets for products. We were able to get and give advice on changes to H-2A labor programs and labor shortages that we were facing as a result of the pandemic, how the markets were changing in various regions. We were able to really rely on each other in a time that none of us ever imagined facing. And that was something that I think was really cool in our career as well, that we got as a result of the program. And for a lot of us, facing the pandemic and what our companies went through during that time, a lot of that was the first time we had team layoffs where, we as leaders were having to really face, we've been fortunate and we've been faced with nothing but growth. And really having that pandemic time in the industry, a lot of us were facing things that we hadn't faced as leaders before, and we're able to really rely on one another and rely on the networking that we've built throughout this program as well. Alumni of this program are unlike any other. They're very passionate about it, and they're extremely welcoming, not only at the events and the different tours that we were on as a result of the program, but just to return calls and emails from other program participants, and really just willing to help you in any way they can. The volunteer leadership opportunities that I've been able to take advantage of as a result of this program have furthered that networking and really allowed me to transition my role to an industry leader and being able to give a voice for others in this space. Especially within the agriculture space, being involved with the Grower Shipper Board has been really great for me and for my experience in my career as a result of the program. And then industry involvement even beyond produce, thanks to the sponsorship and involvement with the wonderful team at Corteva throughout the many trips during the program, I've been able to engage with Corteva in some of their other events that they have outside of the produce space. I was able to participate at some of my first speaking events on panels as a result of that, and being welcomed by the Corteva group to share perspectives, and have been able to create even deeper networking beyond the produce space at those events, which has been really valuable. And then finally, the Julie sessions. I definitely share Craig's fear going in. We had heard a lot about the Julie sessions, how valuable they were, but how intimidating they were. I can't give enough kudos to this program and to having Julie as a part of it for what it's done for me personally in my career. The valuable lessons that she gives us in really being able to tap in and understand ourselves and know what we bring to the table, what we can contribute to our companies, to future companies, to this industry, and where we can improve to reach our career goals has been invaluable. Her direct perspectives have just been really golden leadership nuggets that we get to take with us forever. But the biggest takeaway and the biggest impact that I'll leave with for myself personally as a leader in my career has been a passion for the produce industry and the people within it. Through all of these trips, we've learned so much about the produce industry, but one of the constants at every place that we visited and with every new person that I've met and been fortunate enough to interact with throughout the program, produce is people. We are in a business where, whether it's customer relations, labor relations, people are what make this industry. And that's really ignited a passion in me as a leader to continue to develop and ignite that passion in others and ensure that I'm able to contribute as an alumni to Class 50, the way that people in Class 1 have contributed to me. And I really think that's been the biggest part of how I've been able to progress my career during these past 2 years.
Thank you, Stephanie. That was lovely. Now we do have a question that's come in, but Alex, I'm going to save your question until after we hear from Frank so that Frank doesn't have to keep waiting to give his update. So Frank, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience within the program?
Okay, thank you, Amanda. So again, I'd like to thank United. I'd like to thank Corteva for everything that they made available to our group, and echo the statements from both Craig and Stephanie as to the way we grew and the way we came together and were able to work through things with the pandemic. You know, what I've been asked to talk about is just the changes that it's going to help, what the program is going to help moving forward in the career. So, you know, going into this, I had a pretty diverse background for myself and things that I've done. But through the class, I was also in the transition of moving into a new position in my company, as have some of the other people in the class that have already transitioned to the senior management positions. And the class just helped us see more of the 30,000 foot view opposed to just the tunnel vision. And that came from talking with the people that we were able to talk to. Craig alluded to all the different avenues of the business that we got to speak to, from operations to sales to VPs to owners to presidents, and being able to pick at their brains when we were with them for the periods that they allowed us just helps you see things more. You know, we're all still very young in our career, but these things that we've learned through there and through the meetings that we've had and being with each other are just going to be able to continue to grow as we move into our new positions. Going back to the industry, there's a ton of information that our class and the rest of the alumni are willing to share. Anybody that I've reached out to and other people in the class have reached out to in the alumni group have always been welcoming and answered questions that we've posed. And moving forward, that's what I will continue to do. Stephanie talked about being on some of the boards already, something that I myself am going to be looking into more now that I know more of them are there. It's more than just being a company leader, but it's moving into the industry leader role and sharing the experience and the knowledge that we've all attained.
Thank you, Frank. All right, so now we do have a question for class 25 as a whole. So I know we had these 3 representatives, but as you can see, if you look at the participant list, the 2 5s in front of folks' names means that they are members of class 25. So the question that was posed, if you had no constraints, what would you change about the program moving forward? It's a tricky one. So anybody from 2-5, feel free to chime in here. Or I'll start calling on you presiding fellow style.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I would just like to say that personally, I would love to see larger international exposure as the industry continues to grow globally. I think if there were no constraints, that would definitely be the one thing I think that can benefit.
Who else? Any other thoughts from 2-5?
You know, Amanda, I'll give some input. If there was no constraints at all, one of the things I think would be beneficial would be inclusion of maybe a different tier of leader as well. This program does a very good job of taking leadership skills to the next level. And when I came on board, it was, okay, is it going to make me better leader in my job? Well, really, this program teaches you to be a better leader in the industry and put yourself out there and really take on the next level and bring your career to the next level. But with the Zoom platforms, the team platforms, and the things we've gone through COVID, potentially there's an opportunity with no constraints to include even more of a developmental level of leadership on board for a broader scope of individuals that folks on this call in leadership class 25 and prior might have to develop their young leaders that are developing.
Any other thoughts? We do have another question that came in if we want to move to the next one. So this one is, what do you wish you knew prior to going into the DC trip? And I'm gonna dovetail this one into 2. First, what do you wish you knew prior to going into your first trip on the program, in the program? That's the first question.
I wish I knew. I wish I believed, I guess, because people in the prior classes told me the room sharing isn't as awkward as you think it's going to be when you get that first itinerary and you're like, oh my gosh, a different hotel every night. First of all, get ready not to sleep. You get back to the hotel at 8 o'clock at night, you go to sleep and you're on a bus at 5 o'clock in the morning. So for that first trip, be ready not to sleep, and the awkwardness wears off in 5 minutes. So I would say try to do what we did. Find your class together even before your first event and start getting to know each other, because you are going to be together a lot. So the faster you get the awkwardness out of the way, the better.
Thank you. Yeah, what Stephanie is alluding to, I think she was directly talking to someone who may be a part of class 26, which we're going to announce after we're done with the Q&A session. So that's great feedback, because we do have class 26 on the line as a teaser here. Any other feedback you would give someone going into the program?
Go back to the DC question. The one thing that I'd say is just to really be up to speed on what the political significance of our industry is and the things that we're doing. Understand the health regulations, understand the H2As, understand the food in schools. There's 4 or 5 different things. You know, when I went there, I was expecting just policy and speak about policy to it, but there's a dynamic there's a dynamic arena that's covered when you do go into Washington.
That's a great point, Frank. And I will say too, going into the Washington conference, our government relations team does a great job preparing documents that explain a lot of those 4 to 5 key issues. So make sure if you don't have it, reach out to anybody on United staff, especially going into this Washington conference. We've got all those pieces lined up to help start the journey on research if you want to dive into those topics. Anything else from 2-5 on how you would prepare someone going into the Washington conference? Because I do believe it was a new conference for most of you going into your first year.
I guess I would just point out that knowing cause and effect of politics, I think, is key in going into there as well. So a lot of the points that we were trying to make, they're rebutted by the people we were talking to, whether they're Congress people or senators or their staff, and knowing what the other issues they have on their plate could be that would be making them feel a certain way. So understanding the salesman part of what they're doing and how we can combat that as well is beneficial.
Great.
I'm not in class 25, but can I weigh in, Amanda?
You can do anything
really quickly, because I want to piggyback on what Frank and Craig have been saying. I would also research your particular representatives and their stances on these topics wherever you can, because if you get a chance to talk to your representative or one of their aides, having an understanding of their position, I think would help inform you as you go into those conversations too.
Great. I don't see, Kristin, I don't see any other questions for class 25 at the moment. So I believe we are in the transition period, which we have never done this before, but with the postponement of the United Fresh Convention, where we normally announce the newest class, we have an opportunity today to announce to those on the line who will be a part of class 26.
And I'm so excited to do so. There are several members of class 26 that I know personally, and I am so excited for them to get to know each other and for me to get to know some of those individuals that I don't already have a relationship with, because it is shaping up to be a fantastic class. And while I'm sure they would love a 2-year trajectory, I am hoping that they only get the 1 year and that we can be introducing class 27 at this time next year. So Amanda, I think we have slides to introduce each of the participants. You want to pop those up?
I sure do. And this will be our first person is going to come right on up. So here you go.
Fantastic. So Sonia Carrillo is the Director of Product Management at Wonderful Citrus. Travis Catalani with the Vice President of Sales with B. Catalani, Inc. Kyle Hackett, the COO at Dacre and Hackett. John Haycox, Buyer, Produce Department, Costco Wholesale. Austin Kirtley, co-founder and managing partner of Kessie Management. Megan McGrath, Director of Product Development at Local Bounty. Kathy Michael Sponheim, co-owner and sales at Michael Family Farms. William Nardelli Jr., Vice President of Sales, Nardelli Brothers. Rochelle Shulkin, Marketing Event Manager at Renaissance Food Group. Jeremy Taylor, Vice President, Sales and Marketing, DNO Produce. Joseph Vargas, Director of Marketing and Analytics at First Fruits Marketing. I think we're done. There you go. So as you can tell, we also have a broad mix of geography and functions in this group. I think it's going to be a phenomenal year for them. So welcome to the journey, class 26. Amanda, back to you.
Yeah, of course. No, congratulations, class 26. For those that aren't familiar with their journey and where they're starting, they will also be joining us in DC for the Washington conference, and we'll have that coveted Julie session taking place during that week. We are very fortunate enough today to have members of 2.6 now announced and 2.5 on the line, as well as industry members. So what we're going to do with our remaining time here is I am going to smush you guys into 3 different breakout rooms for 10 minutes to just kind of get to know each other a little bit. And one note that we did put everybody as a member of class 26, just in case if you don't remember, has a star after their name in the participant list. So that's how you can kind of see that they are members. And you probably already caught on to that, but that was our little nomenclature to try to get you guys to see who was in 2.6. So without further ado, let's go ahead and go into some breakout rooms, unmute yourselves, turn your cameras on, and let's all have a couple 10 minutes of chat. All right, I think we have everybody back. Kristin, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to share my screen if you want to go to our next piece.
Yes. So the last 10 minutes has been full of technical glitches on our side. So our apologies. We couldn't get the PowerPoint to move to the last person in class 26. So I'm just going to say we saved the very best for last. Jennifer Velasquez, Director of Marketing with Full Tilt Marketing. Sorry about that, but technical glitches. And then for those that were in my breakout meeting, my camera just stopped working and I had to leave and come back on. So not a Zoom meeting without some kind of technical glitch. And I hope you all really enjoyed your breakout sessions. I know those members of class 26 that were in ours were asking questions of what to expect in the program and how best to prepare themselves. And I think those are all the right questions to be asking. Amanda just put in the chat also the link to class 26 on United's webpage so that you can see them, reach out to them, welcome them to the program. I know that when I first got into the program, that was one of the highlights of that week for me, was getting all of the notes from previous alum, welcoming me, introducing themselves. It was so exciting. So please take the time to do that when you get a chance. And then, you know, I think one of the things that is special about class 25, and I was chatting with some of them beforehand, because they've spent so long together, they've gotten to see so many life changes with each other. So they're not the class of love. Nobody's gotten engaged to anybody else in the program, but they have seen 3 engagements, 2 weddings, the birth of, I think, 2 or 3 babies, and the announcement of 2 or 3 babies, I can't remember, but 5 babies in total they have gotten to be a huge part of. And how awesome is that to be at that moment with each other and be in this intimate group and get to go through not only these professional changes, but these personal changes. So I am so excited, class 25, that you're going to join our leadership alumni group. And I look forward to serving on boards and committees with you, because I know you're going to do great things. Class 26, the bar is high. Class 25 had 2 years to make a really good impression. So I know you're going to bring it, and I can't wait to get to know each of you. Like I said, those of you that I know, I think the world of, and I'm so excited. And then Amanda, I'm going to turn it over to you so you can pitch the Washington conference for us a little bit, because it will be my first time seeing so many of the leadership alumni in person, and I cannot wait.
Thanks, Kristin. Yes, so as you guys have all been talking about, in fact, this probably turned into more of a Washington Conference marketing call than anything else, talking about how to prepare and be ready and what you'll get out of it. But yes, we are very excited to welcome you all to Washington, D.C., September 20th through 22nd. We've got a full slate, full lineup, meetings, everything galore. And I know it's been a tough year with COVID, but we will be in person and we will see you there. Class 25, you will graduate on stage. Class 26, you'll be announced on stage. You'll kick off with Julie. 25, you will not have another Julie session. You've had a lot, so you're okay on that. You don't have to have another Julie session. But we appreciate you guys, Corteva. I can't thank you enough for your sponsorship over the years, and Joe, your partnership in this program. Can't wait to see you all in person at the Washington conference. And with that, I hope you all have a magnificent day.